Thank you, Christian, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about the work that we have been doing, what Beetle Region Solution is doing. Uh, yeah, so basically, the presentation is sort of divided into um about seven parts, and I quick introduction about beetle region, what we do, the opportunities of cotton and biochar, what are the implementation challenges at farmers level, what has been our journey so far with biochar, and also what are the efforts that we have made as an organization uh, towards carbon insetting and finding markets for smallholder farmers for biochar. So this is how the presentation is structured. Uh, well, Beetle is a young organization. We just got going a latter part of this year, but the team, a lot of them are on the call today, are very experienced in terms of sustainable agriculture. A lot of experience in cotton textile chains and that kind of a thing. So very experienced team. And I'm not going to read out everything, but regenerative agriculture is at the core of our work, and with regenerative agriculture is very much to do with carbon and its sequestration, and that's where we are very excited about the potential of biochar for carbon sequestration. So this is about the brief about the organization. We are currently we are working in India. Uh, Okay. And we are in central India and in the state of Maharashtra. You all know of Mumbai. Mumbai is the capital of Maharashtra. Maharashtra is a very large cotton growing area. So we are currently working with 70,000 cotton farmers and another additional 5,000 farmers. We are working with paddy on alternate wetting and drying, sorry. So this year, which is going to be at end of 24 and beginning of 25, we are planning to work with 25,000 farmers for biochar production. Although we are working with 70,000 farmers, but I don't think we'll be able to manage to work with all the farmers. So this is the geography where we are working. Uh, this is just to show you that this is India, and we are already registered with the International Biochar Initiative. We are on the map, so if anybody is interested, you can find us there as well. Now, I just wanted to give you a bit of a sense of the very briefly about the cotton calendar for India. Typically, the sowing starts in the month of June and July, and cotton, as you probably know or don't know, is an annual crop. It's taken out every year, so we have a very sustainable availability of feedstock. So this is the cotton calendar. The cotton is generally the picking is finished in December, some places in January, maybe go up to February, and then the cotton plants are removed, what we call it stalks. Down below is the activity timeline that we have set ourselves for the biochar production. Um, right now, we are just at the village level campaigning, ensuring that farmers are not doing anything else to their stocks. So this is the kind of a calendar that we've set ourselves out. Most of the activities will be taking place in the beginning of 2025, especially in Q1, and hopefully by Q2 we should be able to sell and generate some credits. Now, this is the opportunity that actually cotton holds, and India has approximately 12 million hectares under cotton. On the left-hand side is the cotton areas of different countries in million hectares. And if you look at the figure of India, there's a huge potential with 12,000 hectares under cotton. The calculation is that we can sequester almost. Sorry, it should read this figure should read a million tons and not metric tons. So that's the potential that India has with cotton stalks to sequester carbon, and the CO2 potential is close to 40 million uh, 40 million tons, sorry. And with the beetle farmers, which we are working with 70,000 farmers, about 100,000 hectares, we have a possibility to sequester about 337,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year. And the credits we may be able to generate from there is about 245,000 uh, CO2 credits. But with 25,000 farmers, we are expecting about 61,000 credits that we may be able to generate this year, provided we may reach the target of 25,000 farmers, which we have set ourselves. Now, this is the global overview of cotton stocks. This is data from the International Cotton Advisory Committee. And if you look at India, the data says 10% is burned, 2% is plowed back, 40% is used as firewood, and 50% is just left on the edges of the fields. The pictures that you see have been taken at different times of year. The cotton stalk or the residue is just lying around. Uncontrolled decomposition is happening, and so in some cases it is also being burned. So there is a huge opportunity in terms of a very sustainable feedstock which is coming out year on year. And the other great thing about cotton stalk or cotton residue is it cannot be used as an animal feed. So there's a huge potential there for the use of cotton stalk. Now, of course, there are lots of challenges at the farm level. It's not that, we can convert all the 100,000 farmers that we want for them to produce biochar. But of course, we are going to make a very, very big effort. We've already planned for 25,000 farmers. Now, I think the issues with plowing back residues, which is actually a very integral part of building soil organic carbon. And if you look at the two maps on the right hand side, this is the status of soil organic carbon in India. It's between the areas we work is between low and medium. So there is a dire need for farmers to find sources, sources to build soil organic carbon. So I think that's a really an important piece of work that we need to do, and which we are already doing, and also making sure that farmers don't burn their crop residues or just leave it aside. The other issue is also that cotton stalk has alternative fuel uses, and we have to make sure that somehow we find alternative fuels, be it biogas and stuff like that for the farmers. But I think the very important question for us is how do we incentivize farmers to make biochar and use it, although it's good for the soils, even if they don't get any incentives. But for us, that's a very, very big question. And we feel that if farmers are incentivized for the biochar they're putting into the soil, we would really be able to move really fast and get many, many farmers, maybe all the 70,000 farmers that we work with to use to make biochar. So this is the challenges that we are at the field level. It's a very alien concept. Now with the work that we have been doing over the years, there's a lot of realization coming amongst the farmers about its importance. Now, this is actually the journey that we've had on biochar, and uh, we knew about biochar uh, before, maybe in 2020, 2019. Some of our team members have been talking about it. It was a training program that we attended in 2022, where we actually got to know about the kon-tiki method and the proper method of making biochar in an artisan manner. In 2023, we got to know about the artisan ceasing standard, which actually was an extremely important uh, landmark in our journey, because with the artisan ceasing standard, we could actually figure out a way that smallholder farmers in a country like India could participate in the carbon dioxide removal space. Since 2024, we've been having lots of conversations with in the artisan ceasing space, with the standard holder, with startups. We've done a deep dive into the standard, uh, several conversations with the DMRB providers. We've had some service agreements. We also did some successful demonstrations of biochar in the two states that we are working. And on the right is a picture, very recent picture, where our first metal kon-tiki has been inaugurated. And in the excitement, our farmers have actually painted the kon-tiki also. So we've just got two of these metal kon-tikis made, and we are going to sort of evaluate between, whether we use the whether we use a pit method or whether we use the metal kon-tiki, which has wheels. It can be moved around in the village with a tractor. Now, I'll just skip this. Now, we've also made a lot of efforts at carbon insetting, and the efforts that we made at carbon insetting is actually reaching out to various fashion brands, offering them biochar carbon credits as a possible way to reduce their scope 3 emissions, which, as you know, is the largest source of emissions in any sector. The team has worked on a carbon insetting model for fashion brands. We've also done some calculations for the carbon emissions which are associated with the production of a cotton t-shirt. And we've tried to quantify that what percentage of that can be sequestered or can be offset by the use of biochar. So this is the efforts that we made at marketing, and we've been to various stakeholder events. We met lots of fashion retailers and brands, and we basically, you know, talking to them about biochar because they're anyway using cotton in the supply chain. That there is biochar available. It's a shovel-ready tool which can be used to sequester carbon. Give additional income to farmers. So this is a very major piece of work that we have been doing. Of course, the dilemma that we have right now is that we don't want to make upfront commitment to farmers that we would be able to financially remunerate them for the biochar that they're going to apply on their farms. We have to be very judicious and cautious because if we are not able to sell those credits um, in the open market as offsets, the various conversations that we've had with people, they have had credits which have not been sold. So that's why we are going in the insetting route. And we do have a couple of interests shown from a couple of brands, but nothing has been sealed yet. We do have questions like how does it relate to the flag targets? How does it relate to the GHG protocols for land sector removal? What are the guidelines? So this is where we are currently at the moment. We do believe that the reason why we are looking at fashion brands and insetting is that we would like to have an upfront commitment so that we can then go hell for leather, commit to the farmers that we would be able to remunerate them for the biochar that they're going to make and apply on their fields. So this has been our journey. Lots of discussions around, what technology should be. I mean, of course, being a smallholder country, uh, we are obviously have to go with the artisan ceasing method. We are not in a position to make investments in sophisticated biochar equipment, not yet at least. We have to start the small way and proceed with whatever technology is available. So that's where we are at the moment, and I think that is pretty much the end of my presentation. I mean, it's short, but also gives us opportunity to take questions and have a discussion around it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rajiv. That sounds very interesting. And you got some questions in the chat already. So I think your colleague was answering some of them. So one of the questions was, what is the cost in India for one kon-tiki kiln? Do you know that?
Sorry, what is
What's
the?
the cost in India for one kon-tiki? kiln?
I think it's around 60 to 7. Okay, my colleague has already answered. It's around 20 to 50,000 rupees, Indian
Uh,
rupees.
do you know what's it in dollar or pound or euro? More or less.
Amol, you want to give the dollar figure there?
Yeah, Amol can go for that. So Rui, Alisa Kang was asking what you say. This is an insetting approach. Does this mean you need to be a cotton supplier for brands as well?
Well, see, the regenerative cotton that we would come in the supply chain would anyway come into the supply chain of the brands. So we could look at both insetting and offsetting. I mean, the reason why we are going for the insetting route is that at least we have an upfront commitment.
Hmm.
So, for us, what we want is we want farmers to get returns, and biochar becomes an income stream for the farmers, which at the same time helps in the soil health piece. So we are working on both approaches.
And
The
what?
reason why, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, just so at what number, what price of CO2 would you like to have per ton?
Amol, do you want to put that in the chat, or you want to just open the mic and just talk about it, because Amol is more clued up on the price front?
Okay, give me a second. I have to let him do
Yeah,
that.
please.
Yeah.
That would really be good.
So mic is open.
Amol?
Yeah, hi.
Hey.
Yes, I think we are looking at somewhere around 100 $120 per credit. Uh, and now that C-Sync has been approved by the ICRA, so I think that's what the typical expectations in the market is. But I think it also depends on whether it's a forward commitment, long term, or whether these are spot trades. So if there are long term commitments which we think we will be able to supply because we anticipate to generate some very big quantities, so if we have like a 5 year commitment, the per credit value can go significantly down. We can look at $90 as well.
Okay. A follow-up question from Yuri was, what can be the biggest unlock for a farmer to join in this biochar project? So what would they get from this target CO2 price? Do you already have an idea about that?
Well, we are hoping at least 60% should go to farmers, because that also means that we have to train people in the communities who are going to train the farmers to make the biochar, the DMRV app, to use it, document it, because there are a lot of steps between. We need to have a cadre of human resources in the villages who would enable the whole story to happen. So this is what our aim is, because we do believe that once farmers are remunerated, they will really suddenly understand the importance of this feedstock, that they don't realize what the value is.
Mhm.
And of course, it's a really big soil health. Um, the soil health part is very big, and as you can see, soil organic carbon in India, and especially in the cotton growing areas, is really low, and we need to muster up all the resources and all the whatever we have, so that soil health can be built up.
And because you mentioned the digital MRV, so monitoring, reporting, verification system, which ones are you using, or do you already decide? Have you decided?
No, we have from Carbon Standards International, we have a list of DMRV operators. We have already zeroed in on one of the DMRV operators, which is operating out of India. So they would also act as a ceasing manager for us in the first year, because we are very much involved in the region agricultural piece. So for the start, for this year at least, they will also be a ceasing manager.
Okay. So Ma Michael was asking, what method do farmers use to condition and inoculate the biochar? Or have you thought about inoculation?
Yeah, so the thing with the inoculation is that most of the cotton is grown on already in alkaline soils, and the pH of cotton stalks is anyway on the higher side. So luckily, most farmers in India have compost or farmyard manure, so we would be able to charge it, uh, and mix it along with the cow dung and the farmyard manure and compost before they apply the biochar. So this is what our plan is, that it will be charged with farmyard manure or compost.
Then Marshall was asking, other than carbon credits, do you have other revenue streams?
Yes, because we are primarily into regenerative agriculture. So we are hoping that the regenerative certified cotton, which will be coming out of this 70,000 farmers, will find a way into the supply chain of fashion brands, because currently fashion brands are showing a lot of interest in alternate material, preferred material, and there is a demand, there's a growing demand for regenerative agriculture and regenerative agriculture, especially in the cotton space. A lot of brands have made commitments, so that would be an income stream for us. But biochar could be, I mean, if it takes off, we could even look at it in a larger scale where we can decouple it with a regen agri program as well. I mean, these are all possibilities that we could explore, because our journey has been, we've just started, getting our boots on the ground and brains on the ground on this subject from about May this year. So whatever progress we made is actually not even 6 months, actually.
And because you you mentioned the regenerative agriculture, are there any certifications in the cotton space for?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, there is a regen agri standard, which is an agricultural standard. It's not specific to cotton. So we are currently, we will be certified. We are hoping to get our certificate very soon in the next couple of days. So we are going to be certified under the Regen Agri standard.
And that
Which,
works with, and that includes biochar.
no, it doesn't include
Okay.
biochar. So for biochar, we are going with the C-Sync standard, because that's the only standard that smallholders can work with. So that's an independent certification story. It's going to happen in parallel, and also the timing is very different. I put out a calendar. Once the biochar activity will happen once the cotton harvesting is over.
Hmm. Okay. So we have to quickly go through the last questions because there were some popping up. Matthew was asking, do you already notice competition from wood pellet production for the waste cotton stocks? So do you have any competition for the feedstock?
Well, we do have competition mainly. The biggest problem of feedstock is the aggregation from smallholder farmers. We have 6.5 million cotton farmers in India. Aggregating the biomass is quite a task. I mean, there are technologies to convert the cotton stalks into particle boards, but I think the percentage is very small. I put out some statistics that 10% is burned, 2% is plowed back, 40% used as firewood, 50% is just left aside. So this is where so currently I don't see a competition, primarily because of aggregation issues and things like that. But we don't know how things will go develop in the future.
But the aggregation issue is often an issue also for biochar production. Are you planning to have a shared kiln model, or are you planning each farmer to have their own kiln, or how?
Well, we are going to work. It'll be a hybrid model. The one that the metal kon-tiki that we made is actually mounted on a tractor trolley, which could be taken around. So it'll be a mixture of the earth cone pit and the metal kon-tiki. So we are going to start the actual making of biochar from the 8th, 9th of December, where we are going to roll out both the models, and then sort of see where exactly, because the metal kon-tiki does need some upfront investments,
Mhm.
whereas the open earth cone pit is fairly, it probably needs some 20-30 dollars, but that's more of human labor. So we have to work on both sides.
Um, So last three. Okay, there are too many questions, so maybe your colleagues will answer afterwards. So I focus on a couple of them. Murali Taran was asking, how does the high pesticide residue in cotton fields impact the biochar production and use?
Sorry, the high pesticide use in cotton?
Residue in cotton fields. So I guess cotton is known to be used in combination with pesticides. Do you have
Well, it's
data?
the global data actually shows that cotton is not such a big pesticide guzzler. I mean, I'm not saying cotton farmers don't use, but I mean, we have not. The residues could be an issue. I don't think that would be a barrier for us to make the biochar. I mean, the residues could be an issue when we are talking about, uh, when we are looking at the organic piece and on organic fabric and stuff like that. But currently, I mean, we are very much concerned about the kind of pesticides which are being used, and I think there's also something that Amol has put on the chat. So pesticide intervention is a major work that we are embarking on. So we are hoping that the farmers that we work with have far less residues, better molecules, biological control, and a whole lot of other things.
Okay. Um, and I guess most of the questions are basically focused on your quality control system. Um, so will you work with trainers or
Yes,
how
yes. We
so
will be working with trainers. We already have received a good amount of training. We are going to have we're going to have another round of training by experts. So we believe moisture is very critical. So we are already going to be measuring the moisture. We've already purchased the moisture meters. We already have now a CSI accredited lab in India. We had our samples analyzed. I think they are quite fine. The carbon content is between 75 to 80%, and the H to C ratio is also in very good shape in terms of the longevity about the carbon. So I think given the artisan ceasing method, I think we should be able to manage with a very decent quality.
and maybe the last question for myself, I think your colleagues are already answering some in the chat. Um, so the even if the biochar quality is fine, have you tested your biochar in the field in cotton fields? So the effects of the biochar on the soil
Well,
and
we have done some demonstrations this year. We
Mhm.
hope to have the results by the end of the crop. But
Okay.
as we all know that attributing increase of soil organic carbon to biochar is not an easy task. And we are also hoping to work with research institutions in India so that they could do trials at their level and come up with recommendations. So that's something on the cards. Unfortunately or fortunately, the biochar research um, is quite nascent in the country at the moment, but
Mhm.
that probably will change. But we may also look at partnering with some research institutions to get good scientific data, and that becomes, I mean, we do have some official recommendations from the Indian Institute of Soil Sciences and stuff like that. But the large scale work will happen in the next cotton season. We've done some demonstrations this year, but they were a very handful based on what we did earlier this year in the month of April and May, which was applied to the cotton crop in the month of June.
Okay, great. So we will hear more after the season, more results from you. So thank you
Yeah.
very much, Rajiv.